In this bulletin, 791 new cases of COVID-19 recorded. COVID deaths continue to increase, and concerns over inadequate vaccine production. Good afternoon. Fiji has 791 new cases of COVID-19 and 3 deaths to report for the 24-hour period that ended at 8 a.m. yesterday. There have been 37 new recoveries reported since the last update, which means that there are now 6,524 active cases in isolation. The Health Ministry has highlighted that it will no longer be providing home-based screening and swabbing services along the Suva-Tuno-Sori corridor. Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says this is because of the increasing COVID-19 cases in the Suva-Tuno-Sori containment zone. Dr. Fong adds the ministry will only make an exception in circumstances including individuals with disability or is otherwise physically unable to leave their home and attend a clinic, and these people should call 158. People in the Suva-Tuno-Sori corridor should visit their nearest screening clinic for testing if they develop any symptoms of COVID-19. 6 deaths were reported by the Ministry of Health yesterday, and all of these individuals were infected with COVID-19. However, the Ministry of Health says that only 3 died from COVID-19 and were not vaccinated, and doctors have determined that the deaths of the 3 were from serious pre-existing medical conditions. Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says daily case numbers are expected to continue to increase, along with an increase in people with COVID-19 requiring hospitalization and sadly more deaths. The first COVID-19 death is a 61-year-old man from Gawia village, Lani. The second COVID-19 death is a 75-year-old man from Raiwanga. The third COVID-19 death is a 67-year-old man from Turak. There have now been 42 deaths due to COVID-19 in Fiji, with 40 of these deaths during the outbreak that started in April this year. Inadequate vaccine production and distribution is allowing the COVID variants to devastate countries across the world. World Health Organization Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom says that this is concerning. Dr. Tedros adds that this will push the global economy further away from full recovery. This is bad news to the Fijian economy, which is already on its knees.
At this stage in the pandemic, the fact that millions of health and care workers have still not been vaccinated is abhorrent. Variants are currently winning the race against vaccines.
A total of $10.2 million has been paid out to around 205,000 Fijians as part of the $50 cash assistance by the government this week. The total payout to the informal sector, including the earlier rounds of the $50 and $90 cash assistance, now stands at $32 million. The government has so far directly paid out $183 million to those living in the formal sector who have been affected by the current pandemic. 88 cases were recorded in the last 24 hours for failure to wear a mask in a public place within a containment or lockdown zone. Acting Commissioner for Police Rusiate Tunravu says those arrested either had a mask in their possession but chose not to wear it or were not wearing it properly. Majority of the arrests made for failing to wear a mask were recorded in the Southern Division, with 57 arrests. 17 were arrested in the Eastern Division and 13 in the Central Division. 1 was arrested in the Western Division in Rakiraki involving a man who was not wearing a mask while traveling in a bus. 8 people were also arrested for social gathering breach in the Western Division, while 10 people were arrested for breach of curfew. The Western and Southern Divisions recorded 5 cases each. Those arrested are kept at different holding centers, which have been set up to cater for the growing number of arrests. A good number of females across the country are actively engaging themselves in various agricultural activities. Agriculture Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy, while launching the 2020 Fiji Agriculture Census report today, says 1,888,766 agricultural household members participated in at least one crop growing activity during the census reference period. He adds that 53.4% of crop-growing agricultural household members were male and female, closing the gap at 46.6%. The minister says with the impact of COVID-19, the majority of Fijians affected are resorting to various farming activities, and the ministry stands ready to support them where applicable.
We are witnessing increased interest from different interest groups, individuals, households, corporate sectors, food processors, external interest groups to invest in agriculture. We must be ready to provide them with different statistics so that they can understand the sector well and make well-researched decisions regard to the investment.
And to our latest COVID-19 update. We have another record as of yesterday with 791 new cases of COVID-19 reported for the period ending at 8 a.m. There were also 3 deaths. Fiji has recorded 7,870 cases since April of this year, with a total of 7,940 cases since the first case was reported in March last year. There are now 6,524 active cases in isolation, with 1,355 recoveries in total. The COVID-19 death toll now stands at 42. Up ahead, Team Fiji official test positive. Welcome back. A Team Fiji technical official to the Tokyo Olympic Games has tested positive for COVID-19. In the press statement, Fessenok says the official will no longer officiate at the Olympic Games. The official was part of the Team Fiji's 96-hour isolation period ahead of their departure to Tokyo, Japan. The Tokyo 2020 Games playbook for athletes and officials requires teams to adhere to strict COVID-19 protocols, which include a 96-hour and 72-hour test. Those with positive results will unfortunately be denied entry into Japan.
But because the person was traveling with us, they had to come into lockdown. And the lockdown was critical to us because we would be joining up with the men and women's team from Australia, returning from Australia and coming to Nandi. Also, we were having the swimmer, Cheyenne Rover, and the athlete, Banu, they're also on the flight.
Cloudy periods with a few showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands, Viti Levu, Vanua Levu, Ovalau, Taveuni and Kandavu. Elsewhere, mainly fine, cool at night. That's FBC News Now. Join us for our 1-hour major bulletin at 7 p.m. And be sure to download the FBC app to access the latest in news, sports and live radio broadcasts from any of our 6 FBC radio stations. Stay safe and good afternoon.